Right. Welcome everyone to the workshop about Trinity College London's classical and jazz suites supporting tests. So, as mentioned, we are coming back to face exams, which is the traditional way of doing exams. The digital exam was just kind of something in the interim to ensure that students continue getting the qualifications and certifications during the pandemic. That's why it was started, and it still continues. You can still do digital exams, but it's highly recommended that you go for face-to-face exams because the exam has more content. You sit in front of an examiner, go for the exam, it's more rigorous, and that is actually a good thing. It means you're playing more music, you're preparing more, and you are more ready to be a live musician because in a digital exam, you're sitting back at home and it's okay for you to make a mistake because you can record again. But if you're recording in front of an examiner, it means that you have to be more careful. You have to be more prepared. It makes you grow more as a musician. And therefore, once you start doing face-to-face exams, you'll have to do supporting tests. The supporting tests, you till grade 5, you can choose 2 out of the 4 supporting tests. So let me take you through what the supporting tests are so you can make a more informed choice. Hang on a second. So classical and jazz supporting tests. So the supporting tests are oral tests, sight reading, musical knowledge, and improvisation. I'll take you through all of them very quickly, very briefly, and then I'll answer your questions. Uh, the two favorites from most students are oral and musical knowledge because these two are apparently quite simple, but there are a lot of students who are very good at sight reading. There are students who are very adventurous and they go for improvisation. But it depends from student to student, so you can make an informed choice of what you want to do. So oral tests are basically stuff like you listen to music and you identify characteristics about the music. Like if someone plays a chord, is that a major chord? Is that a minor chord? Is that an ascending melody, do 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 do, or is it a descending melody, do 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 do? These are things which might be asked of you. So identifying intervals, rhythms, cadences, cadence interval, cadence. I think they come in at grade 4 and above. So in case you don't know what cadence is and you have not reached grade 4 yet, then please don't be frightened. So a few things which you can do is when you're listening to music, so there are 2 kinds of listening. One is passive listening and active listening. Passive listening is when you're at the gym working out and you listen to music. So music becomes like the backdrop. It's something which is providing you with an atmosphere or it's giving you a drive to kind of run faster on the treadmill, or if you're relaxing and you listen to music, or you're doing your math problems and you listen to it, that's passive listening. Active listening is your full focus and concentration is on the music and you're identifying stuff about the music, like what instrument is being played here? Oh, what happened there? What part of the music is there? Is this a verse? Is this a chorus? Is that a guitar riff? What kind of guitar is playing the riff? If you're asking yourself questions about the music, that is active listening. And recognizing common patterns. Let me take you through a little oral test which is there on YouTube. Actually, I won't take you through the oral test. I'll just send you a link so you can see it. Actually, let's see one real quick. Let's see oral test. Let's do grade 1. And when it says oral test grade 1, this is for all instruments. This is for piano players, violinists, for everybody. Okay, now this is ABRSM. This is a different board exam. So we are going to watch something from Trinity. This is a Trinity College London grade 1 exam from an actual student. So have a look, and I'll have a space for questions after this, okay?
Then join in from the start of the third playing, clapping the pulse. I'm going to play a melody 3 times, listen twice, then join in from the start of the third playing, clapping the pulse and stressing the strong beat. Now join in. Thank you. Listen again and then tell me if it was forte or piano and legato or staccato.
It was forte and most of it was legato, but there was a few parts when it was a bit staccato.
Thank you. Listen to the first 2 bars, then tell me if the last note was higher or lower than the first note.
The last note was lower.
Thank you. And now I'm going to play the melody twice more. The second playing will have 1 change. Please raise your hand when you hear the change. Here is the melody for the first time. Now with the change. Thank you, Tiffany.
So Tiffany is quite a bright student. She got all of the answers correct. Although the phrasing was legato mostly, as she mentioned. So this is a good test, and this is what a grade 1 oral test looks like. If you're curious, you can look for what grade 6 oral test might look like, because it's quite different. It's a lot longer, many questions, more challenging questions as well. Okay. Next, so I just showed you an oral exercise. So intervals and stuff, it comes after grade 3. So I may have been doing intervals with you, or your teacher may have been doing intervals with you if you're preparing for an oral test for grade 3 and above. Okay. The first one was identifying a rhythm. Cadences come in after grade 4. By the way, if you're wondering what cadences are how a phrase of music ends. So is it going from a 4 back to the 1, or is it 5 back to the 1, which is a perfect cadence, or is it ending on a 5, which is an imperfect cadence, and so forth. Okay. Sight reading, everyone's favorite supporting test. So sight reading is basically you're given a reading example, and basically you read from the sheet music and you play on your instrument. For keyboards, it's mainly, I think, left hand has to play a chord, right hand has to play the melody on a treble clef. For piano players, it's bass clef and treble clef reading. Okay, but even if you play keyboards, I'd highly suggest practice bass clef, okay, because it's important that you know how to read a bass clef if you're playing a keyboard. So a few tips is look for key signatures. This is a very big issue, because a lot of students, they get nervous, they forget that there's an F sharp key signature, and when they're reading, they play the F as an F and not as an F sharp. Look for time signatures. So is it on a 4/4? Is it on a 3/4? Or are there any rhythms? So one thing is, when you're kind of reading, ensure that you understand what the rhythm is. So I'm going to take one quick example, just so you know what they might look for. This is, let's take something simple. Right, so this is Allegretto from Grade Initial Piano. Let's have a look and then I can offer you a little bit of a tip on how to kind of understand the rhythm and how to kind of predict what it might sound like, because you're just reading it. You have no audio example. Your ears are not getting any kind of data. You're just seeing it, and then you have to. Okay, so this is what the music looks like. We are only going to see the treble clef, which goes ta 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 ta. Agnev, tell me.
Is this allegretto C? Like, no, I mean allegretto.
This
Is
allegro.
this?
Yes. Did you learn this?
Yeah, in the start of grade 1 only.
Okay, great. So this one, allegretto, what I like to tell the students is take a look at the rhythm. So this note, you can call it tea, chai, and these notes are coffee. So it sounds like tea, 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 coffee, 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 coffee. And on the bass clef, it's tea, 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 ta. That's a longer note. So basically paying attention to the rhythms will be helpful. And one more thing, guys, instead of using that every goodbye does fine, FACE, it'll be very cool if you look at notes like a join the dots game. Like if you have this note, this is a C above middle C. If you see the next note, it's going down by one step. So from C above middle C, it's coming down to B. How about the next note? Is it going up or down? It's going from this line down to this space, so that's an A. The next note, is it going up or down or same? It's coming down to this G. The next note coming up to A. So reading pitches can get a lot easier if you play join the dots instead of every goodbye does fine and all cows eat grass and stuff like that. And if you take a closer look at this, see from A, it's going over the line, jumping over the line, and it's leaping to a C. So A, C, then down to B, and then it's skipping the space here, jumping up to D. Okay. So be very visual about it, and sooner, like quite soon, you'll be a master at reading. It's something which takes practice, definitely, but it shouldn't be perceived as something which is very challenging or very difficult. If you practice enough, you'll become a master in no time. Right, musical knowledge. This is also a really easy one, because musical knowledge is when the examiner takes your book and asks you questions from your book only from the songs that you have performed. So say you have performed allegretto, they'll ask you, well, what does this 2/4 mean? And then you explain, it means 2 crotchet beats in a bar. What is this? This is a treble clef. What is this? This is a bass clef. What note pitch is this? This is a B. What note value is the same note? 1 beat. What does this mean? Tempo is 86 crotchet beats per minute. So 86 beats per minute. So, and what does MF stand for? Mezzo forte. These are musical knowledge questions where the examiner asks you questions about a song that you've played already. Okay? So this can be a very, very simple test, because all you need to do is be sure of what you're seeing on your sheet music. Okay? In case you're not sure, please ask your teacher, because it's important that you know what you're reading. So if you're reading a piece of literature, you will not, if you see a word that you don't understand, you ask your teacher, sir, or ma'am, what does this mean? Do the same thing with your music teachers. Please ask questions. Okay? Right, back to our presentation. Right. So, as I mentioned, you analyze the dynamics, articulation, the structure, what the notes are, what the note pitch is, what the note value is. So improvisation, we had a long session on improvisation with rock and pop. In case you're interested in improvisation, please take an appointment with me so I can give you more information on this. But improvisation, in a nutshell, means that you're given a stimulus and you have to create music on that stimulus. Okay? It could be a group of chords, it could be a picture, it could be anything, but the whole thing is how creative can you be as a musician who has to create music on the spot. Okay, let's see if I can show one example of an improvisation. Okay, there are so many here, but let's have a quick look. So a harmonic stimulus is when chords are played in the backdrop and you have to create music on top of the chords. That is everyone's favorite stimulus. But there are other stuff like rhythmic stimulus and stylistic stimulus. And as I mentioned, at grade 8, you might be given something like an image and create music on it. Okay. Okay, let's try this. Okay, let's watch the video and then we'll answer a few more questions, okay?
Here is some music we'll use as the basis for your improvisation. I will now play it through twice. When we perform the test together, I will play the first 2 bars on my own and you should join in after that. We will play the repeated section 3 times. You now have 30 seconds to prepare your improvisation. You may practice aloud if you wish. Let's begin now. Thank you.
So, guys, what did you see? What exactly was the student doing during the improvisation, or what was he preparing? Any answers? Okay, so one thing which you may have noticed is he was looking at chord notes. So for the D chord, yeah, Agnev, go on, tell me.
So one thing I've noticed that the examiner he asked to improvise on the note, and and he said he can practice like 2 or 3 times, which he did. So yeah.
Yeah, so he plays it, the examiner played the whole thing 2 times and then gave a little bit of time for the student to gather his thoughts and wits and given a practice time of 30 seconds. And then was the assessment. Okay. And during the practice time, he was trying to figure out, okay, what can I play on these chords? Something which works very well on a chord are the chord notes. So for C chord, C, E or G works really well. On the G chord, G, B or D works really well. Chord notes are brilliant. And after that, passing notes, like say, when you go from C to E, you put the D in between. So C, D, E, G. So something like that will work, okay? Right, we are almost at the end. A second. Right, so remember for your oral tests, if you're going for oral, please do some active listening. For sight reading, do sight reading on a regular basis. You need, you'll get some examples at Crossroads. We have got some sight reading books there. Musical knowledge, when you have a piece that you're reading, please ask questions. I don't understand what the symbol means. I don't know what a note pitch is or a note value is. Can you please tell me? So asking questions to your teacher will really help. Improvisation is, well, it's a musical adventure where you get a fresh new musical idea like a stimulus or a backing track, and you're playing music on that backing track. Okay, I'm going to stop recording now so I can take your questions, okay?